Listen. Stress, it's a part of life. What matters most is how you handle it. Unfortunately, some of us aren't doing so well at handling it, especially now, and it makes us more vulnerable to other illnesses. So we've invited medical doctor Kim Goodall to share with us a few stress-related illnesses and how to avoid them. Morning, Dr. Kim.
Morning, Dr. Kim.
Good morning. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Great to have you with us. So hope everyone is all right with you and your family, or everything is all right with you and your family. Just before we came on, and Delia was suggesting that we were going to do this interview, and I said, if we even know what stress is. Let me start there. What is stress?
Okay. So stress is a normal part of the human body. It is designed to utilize stress. Stress can be positive and it can be negative. Our body uses stress to help us to get things done, also to avoid very sticky situations. And in the event where our body is overworked, or the system that responds to stress, known as the flight or fight response, is overworked, then we can go into the realm of the negative aspect of stress. So I do want to clarify, stress is not always a bad thing and can be helpful. Like with all things, if we have too much of it, it can be negative.
All right.
And yeah.
All right, so we're going to get into 10 health-related stress problems. And the first one is heart disease.
Heart disease, that's a good one to start with. So basically what happens with stress is our body, imagine a car, and you're just going and going. Let's say we drive from Kingston to Westmoreland and come back, but we do that 10 times without rest. What happens is our heart is responsible for pumping the blood around the body, correct? So if we have a constant state of our body constantly going without any rest, what would happen is, one, our heart will be put under so much pressure, and like with anything that has too much pressure, things can go wrong. Just to say it plainly, right? Another thing that can lead to heart disease when we are in a state of increased stress is the parts of our body, or the things in our body known as triglycerides or cholesterol, that can result in heart disease or even hypertension, is released. So the more our body is at a state of stress, or going or fighting or responding to a stressor, the more our body releases cholesterol, which can promote heart disease as well as hypertension, which is another illness that is related to stress.
Yeah, stress would not be the only thing that could cause a heart problem.
Absolutely.
So how do we know if it is stress that's causing it as opposed to something else?
Well, there are so many factors that go into heart disease, and that's why it's important to have a holistic approach when it comes to taking care of yourself. To be completely honest, it's almost impossible to rule out if stress is the only cause to heart disease, because there's familial causes. If your family members have it, there's an increased risk of you having it. There's dietary causes. There's also lifestyle causes, such as a sedentary lifestyle.
Right.
So there's no way to rule it out completely, but the best you can do is just to maximize stress maintenance, so that you know that it's not one of the causes.
Okay.
Yeah. The next thing is asthma. That stress can worsen asthma, yeah?
Right. Okay, so quickly, just to say what asthma is. Asthma is a condition where, what's the best way to say this? The airways, the lung, narrow, and it can also be a result of a production of mucus or a tightening of the airways. Now, as I said before, when you're stressing, your body is put under so much pressure, and you're doing everything 2 times or 3 times more than you would. So some may argue that stress can cause asthma, but what we will say is it can trigger asthmatic symptoms or mimic asthma, because a lot of patients come in and seem to be having an asthma attack with no previous history of asthma, but the truth is they're having an anxiety attack, which presents very similarly, where the chest can tighten as well as it would be difficult to breathe. And in light of everything else going on, where it mimics other things that we definitely see on a daily, such as COVID-19, which also induces stress, a lot of persons do come in with symptoms of shortness of breath. And what ends up happening, we realize once we actually talk to them, which is why it's important to know your patient and know that they're human, because when we talk to them and get an idea of what's going on, by the time they finish speaking to you, because we all have our issues, doctors and patients alike, they actually feel a lot better because they were having an anxiety attack.
Yeah, fantastic. Obesity is the next one.
Obesity. Now, I would love to actually tie obesity and diabetes together in this particular case, because the ways in which stress relates or increases your risk of developing these two things is very similar. Now, stress can result in, let's say, unhealthy coping mechanisms. What ends up happening is stressing out. Some persons either overeat or undereat, and stress not only can result in negative or not so good eating habits, but it can also result in depression, which is another condition, which prevents a person from being able to exercise or actually put in lifestyle, lifestyle tendencies or habits that can prevent overweight or weight gain. And I also tied in diabetes because how you eat really can predispose you to developing diabetes. So it's really, really important to look at all the criteria for how we should eat. We should split our plate. Just to throw it out there, since I have your attention, we're going to split our plate. We want at least half the plate to be vegetables and 1/4 of the plate to be protein and the other quart to be carbohydrates. So the other quarter to be carbohydrates, to be very intentional with how we eat and not to allow, as best as we can, and get help as best as we can, to not allow stress or unfortunate times to result in us not taking care of our bodies with our diet.
Yeah, headaches are something as well. Migraine headaches and stress. People say, boy, I have a stress headache. Talk to me about that one.
To be honest with you, it's very true. I can attest to that. And the truth is, again, if our body is continuously going, our flight and fight response is always activated. Our body is in a state of let's go, and our brain doesn't have a chance to rest. Every part of us needs a chance to rest. Our brain is always going, but to be in a heightened state of worry or concern, it prevents our mind from getting stillness. And that results in parts of our brain actually being, for lack of a better word, temporarily damaged. Not damaged permanently, but inflamed because of increased blood pressure or because you're overworking a part of your brain. You see, when we work our brain and when we think, electricity goes off. But if your brain is firing over and over and over again, especially about something you're really concerned about, you can actually cause that part of the brain to be temporarily inflamed and resulting in a headache.
Okay. You touched on depression and anxiety, so we're going to jump past those two and go to gastrointestinal problems.
Yeah.
Okay, so gastrointestinal problems. A lot of persons don't really connect anxiety or worry with, or stress with the stomach. A lot of persons think they just need tea. But what happens is when you have an increased state of stress, the acid in your stomach actually increases. And if you have more acid in the stomach than normal, it can lead to issues in the stomach, such as ulcer formation. Also, some persons, when stressed out, they don't eat. So in addition to increased acid in the stomach and not providing the stomach with what it needs, it can predispose you or make it more likely for you to develop a problem in the stomach.
Yeah. Alzheimer's. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
That one. All right. So this one is debatable. However, based on research, it states that Alzheimer's disease, well, just to clarify what Alzheimer's is, it's essentially illness commonly seen in elderly patients or older persons where there's memory loss. And I will go as far as to say that amnesia or memory loss overall, not just Alzheimer's, is a result of stress. It shows that the body or the genetics in a person can actually be altered with high stress levels, resulting in a trait of forgetfulness as time goes on through generation to generation. Amnesia, which is memory loss, is another one that's associated with Alzheimer's disease and stress. What happens is if your body's at high levels of stress, even now, you actually can experience memory loss. And that's something that's seen, a temporary memory loss, not permanent, but what happens is people forget where they were yesterday or the day before and have no recollection because their mind is overworked and they're unable, and your body is trying to determine, okay, what's more important, remembering yesterday or enabling the heart to work. And that's just me breaking it down as best as I can for you to understand the body needs to be taken care of and it needs a break, or it will start to choose what's more important than other things.
Right. Accelerated aging.
Aging.
Apparently,
Yes, give yourself them stress lines.
yeah, apparently they say it could age between 9 and 17 additional years if you are stressed out. That's so?
Absolutely. The body needs rest to recover. The body needs rest. All things needs rest. If you're driving your car over and over, it needs some time to recover, or you're going to have to take care of it a lot more oil changes, more tire changes. It's the same thing with the body. Your body needs rest, a good diet, tons of water to rejuvenate itself. And if it's constantly going and given all it's got, just think about working. I can think about working with the shifts that I have. And if I don't get rest, I look a bit older, to be honest, almost immediately. But what happens is your body needs time to rest. And that's really how accelerated aging comes into play.
Yeah. Listen, don't be stressed. That's basically what we're saying. Take a breather, do something. Yeah.
On a final thing, in a overall way, if I do feel like I'm stressed, what I do? I just go sleep, lay down, stop, think. What do I do?
Honestly, that's such a broad question, but it all depends on the environment that you're in. One of the things that I say, which is really hard for us to do, is we should have, or try our best to have, someone that can be there to hear what we have to say.
Okay.
A lot of the times, why we can't manage stress is because we bottle it up on the inside and we actually have no outlet to release it. It can either be someone that is trained in the stress area that you're dealing with, either it be depression, anxiety, or losing your job. It can be as simple as that, especially in these times. Having someone to talk to, having a safe place is super important. Another thing that I can recommend, and this is really, if I'll be honest with you, I experienced tons of stress in this time. And I'm giving you the tips that I have. The second one is exercise. Even if it's in your bedroom, you come onto the bed, stretch, get your muscles going, and enable the blood flow to just pump through and enable your body to feel rejuvenated. Drinking tons of water and getting tons of rest when you can.
Thanks very much. I will end where I start. I suspect you have to realize that it is stress that's causing the problem. I think we have to start, yes. So good to see you. Stay safe. And boy, again, we appreciate all these medical people who have been doing so many things, and you have done so much for all of us. I say it again that you guys have actually risked your lives to save ours, and I appreciate that. Pass it on to your colleagues for us, please, and God bless you.
I will. Thank you. God bless you too.
Dr. Kim Goodall, medical doctor. 10 minutes to your health. We'll do it again next Thursday. But before we do it again next Thursday, is what?
They're going to stress me out now. The fun stuff. It's all about pumpkins. We step into the Smile Kitchen and give you some facts soon come.
So we can just give...